Good afternoon. We're bringing today's budget hearing for education and economic development to order. The first budget hearing we'll begin with is St. Mary's College of Maryland, and we will, of course, begin with our wonderful budget analyst, Kelly Norton. Okay.
Doesn't matter. Okay. Thank you, Chair Smith. We're going to start on page 4. Exhibit 1 shows the undergraduate enrollment from fall 2017 through 2022. Total undergraduate enrollment decreased by 20 students from fall 2021 through 2022. As is illustrated in the exhibit, the number of continuing students and transfer students has fluctuated since fall 2020. The number of first-time, full-time students increased by 61 in fall 20 compared to 2019. Exhibit 2 on page 5 documents the changes in undergraduate applications. As is shown in the exhibit, the number of applications grew in fiscal 2022, totaling over 2,934. The yield rate, which is the number of students who actually enrolled from that total, has been under 20% since fiscal 2020. In fiscal 2022, the acceptance rate was 77%, the second highest rate recorded over this period. DLS has asked the President to detail why the acceptance and yield rates had declined since fall 2019. Turning to Exhibit 3 on page 6, it shows St. Mary's out-of-state enrollment, which has seen a turnaround of declining numbers since 2020. There was a 15.1% increase of out-of-state students in 2020 compared to 2021. Moving to student performance, Exhibit 4 on page 7 provides the college's second and third year retention rates. The second year retention rate increased to 85.4% for the 2020 cohort, while the third year rate decreased to 73.8% for the 2019 cohort when compared to previous year cohorts. Move to Exhibit 5 on page 8. This exhibit shows the 4- and 6-year graduation rates for first-time, full-time students. As is shown in the exhibit, the 4-year graduation rate decreased to 57.8% for the 2017 cohort compared to 2016, while the 6-year graduation rate increased slightly by 0.5 percentage points. The President should comment on the efforts to improve the 4-year graduation rates. Exhibit 6 on page 9 provides the 8-year graduation rate by Pell and non-Pell students status. Both first-time, full-time, and full-time transfer non-Pell students graduate within 8 years at a higher rate than Pell students at the college. For part-time students, based on the data provided on the National Center for Education Statistics website, DLS is under the impression that St. Mary's had either no part-time Pell students or was very low that academic year. Moving to affordability and access, Exhibit 7 on page 10 shows the estimated cost of attendance versus the average net price for full-time in-state students by income level between fiscal 2019 through 2021. This exhibit shows the average cost of attendance over these years was $30,911. However, the actual net price for students when aid was awarded averaged $20,482. In fiscal 2021, the average net price was $10,996 less than the cost of attendance. What this exhibit also shows is the cost of attendance will vary depending on income level. For instance, in fiscal 2021, it cost a student $6,226 with a family income of under $30,000, but $27,576 for a student with a family income of over $110,000. Exhibit 8 on page 11 shows the amount of institutional aid awarded and number of awards provided by category. The amount of institutional aid has increased from $6.1 million in fiscal 2017 to $8.8 million in fiscal 2022. St. Mary's continues to have high rates of merit-based scholarships, with the category accounting for 68.2% of institutional aid in 2022. The U.S. Department of Education reports the median debt for graduates by field of study in an effort to give students a better picture of outcomes at the program level. Exhibit 9 on page 12 illustrates that the median debt of students range from just around $20,750 for economic majors to $25,000 for psychology majors. Computer and information sciences majors had the highest median earnings at $72,028. Exhibit 10 on page 13 provides the budget changes for unrestricted funds by program for fiscal 2022 through 2023. The largest dollar change was in instruction, which increased by $4.6 million, and spending on institutional support decreased by $1.2 million. The proposed fiscal 2024 budget found in Exhibit 11 on page 14 includes a general fund increase of $4.3 million and $3.2 million in cost of living and merit increases. In total, when excluding state pay-go funds, St. Mary's total state fund allocation increases by $6.6 million or 19.3% relative to the adjusted fiscal 2023 working appropriation. The items identified to be funded with this increased funding are shown on, it's for something else. Exhibit 12 on page 15 provides the unrestricted revenues by fund source from fiscal 2019 through the 2024 allowance. In fiscal 2024, state funds increased to 47% of unrestricted funds compared to 43% in fiscal 2023. Moving to the issues, which begin on page 17 and go through page 20, the one issue discussed involves the college's enrollment declines and increase in state spending per student. Exhibit 13 on page 17 shows St. Mary's steady enrollment decline from 2014 through 2022. Between 2014 and 2022, enrollment has decreased 14.6%. Moving to page 18, Exhibit 14 shows the education and general expenditures and revenues. Expenditures continue to outpace revenues with the exception of fiscal 2021. In fiscal 2024, expenditures are expected to be $3.2 million more than revenues. Exhibit 15 on page 19 illustrates the continued increase of state funds per full-time equivalent student. With the mandated increases and decreased enrollment, state funds have increased almost $10,000 between fiscal 2018 and 2024, with a $3,655 increase between fiscal 2023 and 2024. St. Mary's has continued to have the second highest in-state tuition after University of Maryland, Baltimore. Exhibit 16 on page 20 compares St. Mary's to other select four-year public institutions, and St. Mary's has consistently had higher tuition prices. In fiscal 2023, St. Mary's is expected to be $2,868 more than UMBC, the next highest institution. DLS operating budget recommended action is found on page 21, and that is to concur with the governor's allowance. And with that, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you for the great presentation, Ms. Norton. Any questions from the committee? All right, thank you, Ms. Norton. Dr. Jordan, welcome. Good to have you back. Feel free to bring up your panel, and we dialed up the nice weather for you.
I really appreciate the good weather. Good afternoon, Chair Barnes. It's nice to see you. Good afternoon, Vice Chair Solomon, members of the Education and Economic Development Subcommittee. It is a pleasure being here today on this beautiful day to discuss St. Mary's College of Maryland and our FY24 operating budget. With me today are Paula Collins, our trustee, Paul Pusiker, our VP for Business, and Chip Jackson, our Government Relations Liaison. As always, thank you for your support of St. Mary's College. At this point, I would like to ask Trustee Paula Collins to say a few words.
Thank you, President Jordan. Good afternoon, Chair Barnes and Vice Chair Solomon, and members of the Education and Economic Development Subcommittee. I have been a trustee of the college for the past 4 years, and I currently serve as the vice chair. Please know that the board is highly engaged, working closely with President Jordan to ensure that the college lives up to its commitments as an independent state institution of higher education. President Jordan has done a remarkable job of advancing the institution, always focused on what is best for our students. We recognize that our sustained level of excellence could not be possible without the tremendous support from the legislature, and for that we are deeply grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Good afternoon, Chair Smith. I also want to thank Kelly for an excellent analysis of the college. There are many complex issues, and you have done a really good job in trying to understand us. We have provided you with an extensive review of the college in our written testimony. You may want to have it handy, as I will occasionally reference exhibits within the document. Also, we have provided detailed responses to the analysts' questions in our written testimony. I will highlight key issues during our presentation. Before I discuss specific issues, please know that we are grateful for the governor's allowance. We also appreciate the staff's recommendation to concur with the governor's allowance. I also want to thank you for your support in updating our formula in recent years. The revised formula works well and enables us to serve the state in accordance with our mission. Speaking of our mission, the Maryland legislature designated St. Mary's College as the state's public honors college in 1992. We were, in fact, the nation's first public honors college, and the way things are going, we're going to be the only public honors college in the nation. We have a unique mission within the nation that promotes scholarship and creativity and challenges our students to achieve academic excellence through the close relationships with faculty within a community dedicated to diversity and accessibility. As I make my remarks, you will see that we live up to that mission every day. Let me start by addressing enrollment. As Kelly noted during her presentation, enrollment at the college has been a concern since before my arrival in 2014. I am pleased to tell you, not only have we stabilized enrollment, but appear to have turned the corner. As shown in Exhibit 1 of our testimony, full-time equivalent enrollment is up 5% since 2019. Improved enrollment is the direct result of our success in matriculating greater numbers of new students. As shown in Exhibit 2, the number of new students have increased 19% over the last 3 years. The increase in new students is the result of our varied efforts to enhance our position within the higher education sector. These include implementation of our new LEAD curriculum that integrates proven long-term benefits of a traditional liberal arts college education with the applied skills demanded in today's economy. The implementation of new majors based on student interest, economic relevance, and importantly, taking advantage of both the college's location and faculty as well as our community's expertise, and the launch of our brand as the National Public Honors College. Together, these initiatives have made St. Mary's College more relevant and more competitive. Illustrating the success, over the past 3 years, applications have increased 71%, as shown in Exhibit 3. I believe that, based on these successes, St. Mary's College will continue to see an enrollment increase. The analyst asked us to comment on declining acceptance and yield rates. As detailed in our written response, acceptance and yield rates are expected to decline as applications increase. The increased number of admitted students results in a decline in yield rates because the admitted applicants tend to have a greater number of enrollment choices compared to a smaller self-selecting pool. I now want to turn your attention to issues related to access and affordability. The college's mission to provide an excellent liberal arts education is expensive. For example, we have a low student-to-faculty ratio to promote highly impactful student-faculty engagement. Our mission also charges us to be affordable. However, and we work diligently to meet this challenge by continually looking for means to be more efficient in our operations. Coupled with your generous support, we have been successful in keeping St. Mary's College affordable. With your help in 2014 and 2015, we were able to lower our tuition substantially. Since then, we have continued our efforts to moderate tuition increases. As shown in Exhibit 4, tuition in fall 2022 is still less than it was 9 years ago in 2013. And recently, our trustees voted to freeze tuition rates next year for the 4th consecutive year. In addition to our efforts to moderate tuition pricing, the college has remained committed to providing a robust financial aid program to our students. For the fall 2022 entering class, 95% of students received institutional financial aid. As shown in Exhibit 5, over the past 5 years, St. Mary's College has increased institutional aid by 51%, adding $3.1 million in direct need-based and merit-based aid to students. As noted by the analyst, Not only has the overall average cost of attendance declined over the past 2 years, but for families with incomes under $30,000 per year, the average cost of attendance has declined by over $3,000, or 34%. I also want to point out that the appearance that merit aid has gone up at the expense of need-based aid is misleading due to the fact that merit aid also supports need. To be responsive to the market, where many students and their families prefer to receive merit aid awards rather than need-based awards to recognize their accomplishments, the college has intentionally packaged aid accordingly. By no means, however, does this represent a reduction in the college's commitment to need-based aid. In fact, as shown in Exhibit 5, the total amount of aid awarded by the college to address student need, in accordance with the reporting standards of the Common Data Set, has increased from $4.6 million in 2016 to $6 million today. To illustrate this point further, I refer you to Exhibit 6, which shows that for students receiving aid, the percentage of need met by a combination of need-based and merit-based aid increased from about 68% in 2016 to a little over 78% last year. Indicators of our success in providing aid and supporting our students are shown in Exhibit 7, which is about average student debt, and Exhibit 8, default rate. Comparatively speaking, our students graduate with relatively little debt. This is a result of both a strong aid program and the fact that many of our students graduate within 4 years. Also, our student default rate of 0.8% is far below the national average and suggests that our graduates find employment and are able to repay their loans. I'd like now to discuss our academic programming, where our continued focus on innovation ensures its relevance in the market and supports our students. Major publications continue to highlight St. Mary's College as one of the top liberal arts colleges nationally. Contributing to our success is an academic program that provides students with many opportunities to participate in high-impact practices at rates that far exceed national averages. High-impact practices, including internships and faculty and student collaborative research, are central to our new LEAD curriculum. This curriculum provides all students with an integrated academic program that combines deep knowledge of their major with real-world experiences to better prepare them for life after graduation. This core curriculum results in a reimagined applied liberal arts program designed to provide students with a distinctive experience that enhances career preparation. An important component of the curriculum is the Honors College Promise, which guarantees every student will receive either a paid internship, a research opportunity with an expert in the field, or a subsidized student study abroad experience. Rather than provide these programs to a select group of students, as most colleges do, we make sure that every student at St. Mary's College can participate in these high-impact practices regardless of their financial situation. We're also in the process of implementing and developing new majors in neuroscience, marine science, business administration, and performing arts, with marine science and business administration representing the third and fourth most popular intended majors, respectively, among first-year students. These programs were chosen based on a thorough review of their demand among prospective new students, as well as the job market. Not only do we provide an outstanding educational program, we also live up to our mission to provide equal opportunity for a diverse community. St. Mary's College continues to make a significant impact on reducing the achievement gap. In Exhibits 9 and 10, you see how well students from underrepresented populations are retained and graduate relative to the general student body and to other Maryland institutions. For example, the first to second year retention of students receiving Pell Grants has historically equaled that of all students. In addition, the first to second year retention of students of color has increased, and for the last 2 years has been equivalent to all students. We also continue to increase our recruitment of students from diverse backgrounds, as shown in Exhibit 11. I'd like now to respond to the analyst's questions. With respect to the question concerning four-year graduation rates, please know that the college continually works to enhance student success programs to support our students. Over the past few years, new initiatives include a short winter term, the Sum Primus program for first-generation students, and expanded services provided by the Office of Student Success Services. Our winter program, for example, allows students who have fallen behind in their credits to get back on track. In 2022, the winter program increased the percentage of students on track to graduate within 4 years, from 63% to 78%. The Sum Primus program, which means I am first, was created to provide an on-campus support network for first-generation students. There is early evidence that these efforts may already be paying off. The four-year graduation rate for the latest cohort is 60%, up 2 points from the previous cohort. With respect to the analyst's question about instructional expenses, the primary cause of the increase from FY22 to FY23 is that the FY22 annuals reflect vacancies, whereas the FY23 budgeted amount fully funds all positions. The FY23 budget also incorporates COLAs and an increase in student study abroad travel, which was predominantly shut down in FY22 due to the pandemic. In conclusion, I wish to thank you for your support of St. Mary's College. We're truly grateful for the Governor's FY22 allowance and for the analyst's recommendation. Chair Smith, that concludes my testimony. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your thorough responses and for updating us on all the great things happening at St. Mary's College. Are there any questions from the members? Seeing none, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
That concludes the budget hearing for St. Mary's College. Moving on to the second budget hearing, and this is for MSTE, Aid to Education. We will be first hearing from our wonderful budget analyst, Laura Hyde.
I'm Laura Hyde, and I'm the analyst for Aid to Education, Maryland State Department of Education. We're starting on page 1 with the operating budget summary. The fiscal 2024 Aid to Education budget increases by $900 million, or 10%, to $9.7 billion, which primarily reflects the increase in special funds supporting state aid for Blueprint to Maryland's future programs. Turning to Exhibit 1, 2, and 3, which are on pages 6 through 8, these discuss student assessments. Exhibit 1 on page 6 shows the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, or NCAP, scores for the 2021-2022 school year. You may remember that in calendar 2020 and 2021, Maryland schools received a waiver from the federal government for standardized assessments. So spring 2022 was the first time in 2 years that students had taken standardized tests. So spring 2022 was also the first year that students took the newly designed MCAP exams. This chart shows in Exhibit 1 that for English Language Arts MCAP, the majority of students grades 3 through 8 and grade 10 scored as beginning or developing learners. On Exhibit 2 on page 7 shows MCAP scores for math, which, like English and Language Arts, has the majority of students scoring as either beginning or developing learners. And then Exhibit 3 on page 8 provides a comparison of MCAP scores for English Language Arts and math that shows more students scored proficient or distinguished in English Language Arts than math at each grade level tested. Moving to Exhibit 4, on page 10, this shows the federal stimulus fund expenditures, In fiscal 2020, 2021, and 2022, LEAs received $2.7 billion in ESSER funds. At fiscal 2022 closeout, this would be in June of 2022, LEAs reported total expenditures of $696 million, or approximately 26% of all ESSER funds. This is shown by categories in this chart. But current expenditures by LEA, which total $1.1 billion as of December 2022, those are in the appendices at the end of the analysis. The discussion of major state aid starts on page 11 of this analysis. Due to COVID-19 school closures, enrollment declined in fall 2020 and fall 2021. However, with the return to in-person instruction in fall 2022, full-time equivalent enrollment increased by approximately 4,000 students, or 0.5%. Exhibit 5 on page 12 shows these changes to enrollment from fall 2019 to fall 2022 for the full-time equivalent, free and reduced price meal, special education, and limited English proficient enrollment, with the largest increase of over 60,000 students in FRPM enrollment over these 3 years. That is due to the recent use of direct certification that better identifies these students. Turning to page 13, Exhibit 6, this shows changes in state aid from fiscal 2022 to 2024. The total allocation in fiscal 2024 for major state aid programs is $8.7 billion, which is an increase of $733 million, or 9%, over the fiscal 2023 allocation of $8 billion. Exhibit 7 on page 14 shows the overall aid to education spending in fiscal 2024, which totals $9.7 billion. This includes general funds, special funds, and federal funds. Now turning to Blueprint for Maryland's Future Grant Program, Exhibit 11 on page 20 shows Blueprint revenues and expenditures 2023 to fiscal 2028. In the fiscal 2024 proposed budget, the Blueprint Fund has a starting balance of $2.1 billion, with projected revenues totaling $1.9 billion and expenditures totaling $1.7 billion. This chart shows how increasing expenditures are anticipated to impact the Blueprint Fund balance in future years, with a potential deficit starting in fiscal 2027. Turning to Exhibit 12 on page 21, this shows the fiscal 2024 $1.7 billion Blueprint program allocation. The majority of funds are allocated to the aid to education programs, with additional funding for early childhood education, Blueprint initiatives that are in the Maryland Department of Health, and other programs. And if you look at Exhibit 13 on page 22, this shows this funding by program. Turning to the issues, starting on page 23, the first issue involves an anticipated adjustment to the net taxable income. Exhibit 14 and 15 show this information. Exhibit 15 on page 25 shows how education aid changes by LEA with the new net taxable income data. This occurred because of delays in processing tax returns, led by the comptroller to issue a revised report in January 2023, showing 20% increases in the county tax revenues rather than the 8.5% increase shown in an earlier report. So this change results in a slight change by LEA to fiscal 2024 state aid, but an overall increase in state aid for LEAs of 9%. Page 26 displays issue number 2, which involves the collection of enrollment data by MSDE. 2 recent audits documented inconsistencies in the enrollment counts for LEAs, as well as issues with MSD oversight and audit of these enrollment counts. Additionally, enrollment data submitted to DLS for fiscal 2024 indicated that MSD may not have initially collected enrollment data necessary for the greater than calculation for the compensatory education funding. And so for this reason, DLS recommends the addition of restrictive language for a report on school level FRPM counts. A related issue is in the delay of local maintenance of effort calculations, which DLS suggests that MSD comment on. Turning to Exhibit 16 on page 27, this is the third issue on student learning loss. Maryland students in calendar 2019 and 2022 on the National Assessment of Educational Progress, which is a national exam for 4th and 8th grade reading and math, indicated that the scores declined over these past 3 years. And then on the next page, on Exhibit 17, this shows similar results when comparing student scores on the PARCC and MCAP assessments in these same years. And so for this reason, DLS recommends the continued submission of a report on MCAP, administration costs, and learning loss. Exhibit 18 on page 29 has the fourth issue, which is on the Autism Waiver Program. MSDE is in the process of changing over the Autism Waiver Registry to a wait list, and with students identified for services on that wait list. The program received an additional allocation of $30 million in fiscal 2023, with costs expected to increase for the program through to fiscal 2027. And so for this reason, DLS recommends that MSDE continue to submit a report on this program. Exhibit 19 on page 31 is the final issue involving the non-public placement program. Chapter 700 required a 4% provider rate increase for this program, which was funded in fiscal 2023. The provider rate allocation raised the program's base budget, which results in a steady increase in program costs into fiscal 2024. Therefore, due to these increases, DLS recommends that MSD continue to submit a closeout report for this program. The recommended actions presented in the issues begin on page 32 of this analysis, but this ends my presentation, and I stand for questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any questions from the members? Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you, Delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question, just so I'm understanding this correctly. The MCAP, I guess, is a standardized math test and standardized. So I just need to know this, that I'm seeing this correctly, that 93% of the 8th graders are not testing proficient. Is that what this is saying?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Their testing is beginning and developing.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Correct.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much, Ms. Hyde, for your presentation. Now we'll have before us State Superintendent Chaudhry and team. Thank you for being before us today.
Good afternoon, Chair Smith, members of the subcommittee. Good to see you as well, Chair Barnes. Thank you once again, Ms. Hite, for your analysis. MSD concurs with most of the analysis. Today I will briefly comment on the question raised in the analysis on the Educator Shortage Act, and I will also discuss one MSDE non-concurrence. Otherwise, I stand ready for any questions of the subcommittee along with my Assistant State Superintendent. I recognize the importance of and attention to the substantial investment in the blueprint, and I want to assure the subcommittee how seriously we take the responsibility, as well as the responsibility to help support public conversation about the resources, the blueprint, and how the formula works to advance outcomes for Maryland students. Blueprint funding is as complex and comprehensive as the blueprint itself. For that reason, I want to respond briefly to the analysis comment regarding state aid submission timing. MSDE respectfully disagrees with an analysis recommendation to restrict funds for the department. MSD by law submits data to DBM and DLS to calculate state aid. MSD passes the same data the department has available for its own calculations to DLS and DBM when they are available. That being said, I also have to acknowledge the challenge presented by the current data reporting timelines established in the law with the blueprint. Prior to the blueprint, reporting occurred beginning in mid-December and into early January. MSD recognizes the importance of timing in the construction of the state's budget bill, but for context, the Blueprint for Maryland's Future requires MSD to provide DBM and DLS the data elements necessary to calculate the major education aid programs by December 1 each year. State and federal regulations require local education agencies to report official student enrollment as of September 30th. English learners and students with disabilities as of October 1st, students eligible for free and reduced meals as of October 31st, and LEA transportation data by November 30th each year. MSD provides guidance and technical assistance to LEAs to support these data submissions, but the department has between 60 calendar days and 24 hours to receive, review, and evaluate the data provided by LEAs data that cover nearly 900,000 children in more than 1,400 schools. MSD would welcome the opportunity to discuss with the Department of Budget and Management and the General Assembly and DLS a timeline that better fits the necessary state budget timeline, results in more accurate, reliable data in the initial preliminary draft state aid calculations rather than the necessary up and down that occurs now while local education agency and MSD work swiftly to validate, correct, and forward updated data. Beyond state aid, the analysis also asked the department to comment on the Educator Shortage Act and its potential impact on recruitment and retention of educators in Maryland. Maryland's educator workforce is at a crossroads. 10% of Maryland's public school teachers turn over each year, more than 5,500 in 2022 alone. Retention dropped below 90% for the first time this past year. I cannot overstate how big that is. That means an additional difference of more than 1,000 teachers. That's a big deal. Even now, the pipeline of educators to fill those positions is insufficient to fill the vacancies each year. For example, there were 2,572 vacancies for professionally certified staff on the first day of school for the 22-23 school year. There were, however, 1,553 certificate-eligible completers in Maryland-approved programs during the 21-22 school year. And that's even assuming a one-for-one match and assuming that everyone stays in Maryland. Do not forget that we are a 50% high import state when it comes to teachers. That is a gap more than 1,000 teachers. So our retention rate has dropped below 90%, and we're not producing the demand that we actually need. This bill will ensure Maryland's public schools have the diverse, high-quality teaching professionals necessary to implement a world-class education system for Maryland's children and families. The Educator Shortage Act is a plan to, 1, create a permanent pathways to employment that attend to long-standing teacher vacancies, 2, diversify the pipeline of future educators and actually make a year-over-year dent to this issue. 3, address Maryland's ability to import high-quality teachers from out of state rather than giving them additional hoops to jump across just because they came from another state. And finally, reduce structural barriers to credential attainment for early childhood education providers as the state seeks to rapidly expand public and private delivery option of state-approved pre-K programs. The bill also codifies the work MSD led through the establishment of Grow Your Own programs in 23 of the 24 LEAs as part of Maryland Leads, its use of state set-aside. MSD-approved Grow Your Own educator programs would allow local education agency employees, individuals already committed to Maryland's children and families to earn an income while they also learn and obtain a degree and/or related teaching credential. These employees may, for example, be current education support professionals or career changers with conditional certificates. Currently, more than half of Maryland's teachers come from out of state. The Educator Shortage Act also works to build a pipeline of teachers in Maryland, but the state will continue to rely on workforce development by allowing and encouraging teachers from other states to come to Maryland and teach. The Educator Shortage Act establishes a new subtitle in the education article to EED Compact. This compact would ensure that Maryland could reduce the barriers to transferring professional teaching licenses for credentialed teachers from states with rigorous credentialing requirements. Prior learning experiences for early childhood providers is very important. Pathways to a bachelor's equivalent credential in approved alternative preparation programs, including out-of-state programs, as well as expansion of eligible sites in which an individual may intern for early childhood education certification, is something that the Educator Shortage Act does. Currently, the blueprint limits where they can get their program, and currently there is only one alt program that actually exists in the state when there's 20 in DC. This language eases unintended but impactful blueprint language that in effect forces existing providers to close their centers in order to be able to seek and obtain the credentials necessary to eventually offer a state-approved pre-kindergarten option. Maryland Rebuilds, another program that we launched using our state set-aside, had a strategy called Growing a Highly Effective Childcare Workforce Strategy. One of our grantees was Montgomery College, and we are piloting with them a first-of-its-kind in Maryland prior learning experience pathway for childcare workers. Essentially, our seasoned childcare providers know a lot. Let's validate that rather than making them take courses for things that they already know. Given the blueprint's expectations regarding a true mixed delivery pre-K system, this language is essential, giving private providers a chance to step forward and meet the goals of the blueprint for Maryland's future. I have included in our written testimony any additional areas for comment, as well as existing guidance and reporting procedures for local education agencies associated with the recommended language for MSD's school-level free and reduced price meal data collection effort. Thank you again, Ms. Hyde, for your analysis, and thank you, Chair Smith and the subcommittee once again for the opportunity to be here today. It's a great honor and responsibility to implement the blueprints for Maryland's future, one MSD does not take lightly. I'm grateful for the work of the Assembly to establish the blueprint, and I assure you that we will see it through. I stand ready for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent, for your testimony and response. Delegate Mangione.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just have two quick questions after seeing the Exhibit 2. Number one, I'll preface by saying I absolutely hated math, but of course, as an adult now, I realize the importance of it. When 93% are not testing proficient on this score, I guess my two questions are, one, why do you think that it gets worse as the grades go up in terms of, third grade's better than the fourth grade all the way up to eighth grades are worse?
Yeah.
Number one. And then number two, are we doing anything, like I said, math's kind of dry in my opinion, but extremely important. Are we doing anything as a system to promote mathematics to the students to make it seem more exciting to them? Because 93% is
ugly.
That's ugly. Very ugly, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can
Yeah.
answer those two, thank you.
I'm actually going to take off my mask because this makes me hot talking about this topic. My daughter will be fine. Math is ugly. Virtual learning did a number on Maryland when it came to math. We were one of the last few states to open. English, we are back up and actually exceeding 2019 numbers. Math, we are not. Single-digit proficiency rates. It's a couple of things. Maryland was trending down in math even before the pandemic. We shifted to teaching mathematics during the Common Core era, which completely made a massive shift on how you teach math. Many teachers who teach math also have math anxiety. We were teaching math rather than giving the classic, back in the day we had the textbook, you see the formula, you practice with the teacher, you plug in the numbers. You don't teach math like that anymore. You teach why the algorithm is the algorithm so it sticks more. So we're still getting used to that. Math also at scale in virtual learning does not work because it's so procedural. You got to be synchronous, so live in person. So there's that. I also want to give you some hope. Underneath the proficiency number in 8th grade and 5th grade and other key grades, 40, 50% of kids scored at the level right below it. And many of those kids are on the cusp, meaning that they were 3 questions off. They answered 60 to 80% of the questions right. I saw headlines that said those kids were failures. They are not failures. How many of us got a B in college, or a C, or a D, or got suspended in middle school? I got all of those, and now I'm state superintendent. And so what I'm saying is our educators worked, and they worked hard, but we need a full assault in terms of like AmeriCorps style on math. Like we are going to need that. And so that's what I'm gearing up for. I already know where we are in reading and what we need to do, especially in the early grades. But math, I'm gearing up for. And I'm going to come back next session with something, but I'm not going to wait till session. I still have federal state set aside to do some creative things. But 40, 50% of kids are in level 2. They're on the cusp. They got 60 to 80% of the questions right. Some of that is only 3 questions to move to the proficiency bar. But we don't talk about that in the press like that. They're not failures. And so I want to give you some hope, but I promise you we will do better in math. That's what I got for you.
No, I really appreciate your answer and wasn't aware of how that worked. And we all wish you the best luck because obviously it's extremely important for all these kids' future. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Vice Chair Solomon? I see your efforts.
Thank you. And actually, I'm gonna do the same thing. You've encouraged me. So it's good to see you. We also have a 7-week-old, but it's warm. Question about going to the ESSER funds, and wondering if you're concerned, or if you share the concern that I have that it seems like our districts are spending this money kind of slowly, considering some of them are. I should have had my chart bookmarked here, but some of them are at fairly low levels, considering it's been 2 years since they've gotten it.
I actually don't think they're spending slowly. I actually think we're on track. We do have a tracker. I've done a deep dive. Something that was trending in headlines is they're not spending fast enough. They're not spending fast enough. It's the tranches, right? Tranche 1, Tranche 2, Tranche 3. Tranche 1 is fully 100% spent. Tranche 2 is literally trending at where it needs to be, and Justin can give you the exact percentage. But it's the difference between obligated versus spent and already allocated. All of those things are at place, but we don't capture that nuance. I just think, for example, if I could snap my fingers and get every kid into a room in a group of 3 and do high quality school day tutoring, I would. But you gotta design the school day and have the bodies to do that. And you gotta have a trained tutor, right? And we didn't go in Maryland like Tennessee, let's do the statewide tutoring corps and make it a mission and serve, to use the governor's service year option. Like, we need something like that. And so I believe that they are on track to spend. I believe all the academic stuff is kicking in now because the first tranche was focused on computers and devices and masks and everything else. And then we came back to what was supposed to be normal in 21, 22, but we were quarantining the heck out of kids, and chronic absenteeism was really ugly last year to the point where I had to make an exception with the feds on the report card. I'm unveiling the report card scores this Tuesday, by the way. And so I think that they're on point. Justin, anything you want to add?
It's okay, Delegate, to respond as well?
Yeah, well, and I guess maybe I should have rephrased. So you feel like even though the spend down is not higher, that there's plans in place to make sure that this money is being spent appropriately? Okay.
Yeah, and one of the things, so the largest, each tranche of funding, from the CARES Act to SRSA to American Rescue Plan was more, right? American Rescue Plan funds were substantially more. It's also where we see the most capital investments from LEAs, and so one of the reasons you don't see a lot of those is spent in particular is, that's where HVAC costs are. That's where capital costs that aren't going to come to us for reimbursement, they're not going to show as expended for a while. It's also why the feds have started to contemplate, they did it with CARES, the late liquidation, recognizing that could be a challenge for that reason.
Okay, that's great. And then question on, I know for a lot of us, we're sort of anxiously waiting final maintenance of effort numbers, and absent sort of some of the other issues raised, at least the numbers that are in the appendix of the analysis, do you feel like that's fairly accurate right now for our school systems to at least start to budget?
So I believe, and I would defer to Ms. Hyde completely on this, I think that this analysis doesn't include the updated state aid information that we released last week. So I don't want to misspeak. Is that on Ms. Hyde's account? Sorry, Ms. Hyde.
Mr. Dayoff is correct. This analysis was written before MSD submitted its data on, I think, the 16th of February.
Yeah, and we also just, we hear the questions. We actually met with our local education agencies this morning to do a state aid briefing on the update, and we've got another drop-in session for them tomorrow, another one on Monday for the superintendents and CFOs and whoever from their teams. This is, to be sure, challenging for an LEA when they're in the middle of budget season and they see a different number. I do want to say that when we released the January data, we put in bold in the memorandum that we fully anticipate revising and reconciling Comp Ed and CPG specifically. I mean, I won't name them. We did have a local education agency actually send us an updated compensatory education count last Friday night and say, "Oh, can we get this in?" And I think it speaks to the question of timeline and challenges, and we truly are eager to be a partner in this, and in whatever way we can in the data collection process itself up front, include DBM and the Assembly and DLS more proactively, more than happy to do so as well.
Do you have a sense, and I don't know if maybe you can answer this, is it going to look radically different than what's here from many of the districts?
I can never, ultimately these decisions are not ours, right? So it really will depend on the DBM and the governor and what goes into or not into supplementals. We did, with the data that we released last week, we actually sought specific approval from DBM and DLS to release it early. It's not typical to share information before a supplemental budget bill is
the first time
released.
We did that, right?
Yeah, and so, but we, recognizing the urgency for this for the LEAs, we're trying to get that out and to be transparent and to be communicative and also to frankly understand the formulas. They're complex. There's a lot going on there. And, in previous years, the department might spend an hour just going over net taxable income, and here we have 13 brand-new programs with all sorts of moving parts that, through Blueprint phase-in, are changing every single year.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm Delegate Grace.
Thank you. This teacher recruitment, I know it's a very complex issue, and I'm not familiar with what that pilot program is in Montgomery County. I'm certainly very interested in learning more about that. But a lot of challenges that like a lot of our high school juniors and seniors have now, especially the ones who aren't going to college, is they feel like as soon as they graduate, they have to earn income because they're either coming from poor families or something. You know, and a lot of these kids will probably be very good teachers. So if I know what they're doing a lot in the medical industry, especially like nursing, is a lot of these companies are hiring these young high school graduates, and they're bringing them in, and they're actually paying for their certifications and their training in order to be able to do that. I mean, can we do something very similar, either in our public school system or maybe in our daycare centers or something, to be able to sort of have a recruitment and like a farm system for teachers who don't go to college?
Absolutely. The educator shortage at actually, these grow your own programs, right? You can take a TA who doesn't have a degree, get them a degree, full ride, cover, they're earning while they're learning, and if they want to become a teacher, you could hire a high school graduate as a TA. Howard County has done that. This act actually allows for that. And also college students who are doing their resident year, if Maryland passes this, Maryland for the first time is going to pay a teacher resident a stipend. I recommended $30,000, it's $20,000 still, but there's still a long session ahead. But the fact that we're going to pay them a stipend is a big damn deal, and cover the full ride. We also tackled in this bill is the convoluted requirements. Like you had to have like a ridiculous SAT score plus all this other stuff in order to get it, you know, and the predictive value of that being an effective teacher is not very strong. So we made it more open and everything else. So yes, what you just said, if someone pitched us that, if this law passed, the department could approve a program like that, and they could get a full ride while also getting paid on their day job and things like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I have a few questions. So I know, I believe you just mentioned that there's like many formulas that could be a bit complex, and we can appreciate, I'm still wrapping my own mind around some of these things. But I do know that for Baltimore City, there were some distressing kind of revelations in some of those numbers, particularly seeing schools suddenly eligible for CPG that are considerably wealthier on the whole than schools that were losing these funds. So is there a way we can dig deeper into the hows and the whys? Because some of that is just, you know, it's frightening, quite frankly.
Yeah, and so there are a couple things. I mean, I do want to point out Baltimore City has a hold harmless this year in general. So, you know, regardless, they're being funded at what they were, even despite declining enrollment and eligibility counts.
Aware.
That being said, I mean, absolutely, and there are, I think, two important, at least, streams of work with this. One is doing as good a job as we can to bring everybody in, to explain, to build transparency and understanding of, you know, yes, it's complex, but complex is not an excuse for not being public, and transparent doesn't just mean here's the file.
Right.
Transparent means understanding, comprehension of this, and it's billions of dollars, and we certainly understand that. I think, you know, one of the things that changed between January and February, you know, we were working with the DBM and DLS to go through, and I think this is part of the blueprint still being new, is to understand, hey, the law says this, what do you actually mean for when schools are eligible for CPG in terms of how those thresholds work? If, you know, they're eligible this year, but they haven't had a personnel grant before, and to be clear, Chair, the concentration poverty is made of two different grant programs, the personnel grant, which kicks in advance, and then the per pupil grant. And so there was that piece. So we updated that information based on our understanding of now what constitutes when a school becomes eligible. The other thing is the concentration of poverty grant numbers are based on a 3-year average. It's designed to be kind of a hold harmless of sorts, so that, you know, year to year you don't have volatility in a school. If a school is right on the cusp of being eligible for a concentration poverty grant, they're not going to flip in and out of being eligible for the concentration poverty grant. So it uses that soft landing provision. The challenge is our 3-year average, while it includes, excludes, I should say, fall of 2020 data, you know, fall of 2021 data are in there. And last year was the first year the state had ever collected school level free and reduced price meal data for the purposes of state aid. Previously, state aid for comp ed was all LEA level data, right? And so to Ms. Hyde's analysis, to the point in Ms. Hyde's analysis about the greater than count, we've got to go through a mechanism to look school by school and LEA by LEA, what they're qualifying for when it comes to CEP, direct cert, and free and reduced price meal status. There are those three greater ofs in the law. And so I apologize. That is the long-winded way of saying that we are certainly looking at it. We will continue to do that. We try to be responsive when the questions come in. At the end of the day, the more eyes on this, the better. I think we take that seriously, and if somebody, we want to hear that. We want to make sure it's as accurate as possible.
Or we could stop relying on free and reduced price meal and do the Maryland Neighborhood Tiers Act that you filed and do a better way of funding that. That would benefit red and blue places altogether. And I'm going to fight hard to make sure that one day Maryland does that. So.
That was well played there, Superintendent.
Oh, and we didn't even coordinate.
Exactly, that was organic, y'all. That was just magic. Delegate Harris, do you have anything? Okay, because I have a couple more questions. So I know that with the blueprint, there has been historic increases in, salaries for entry-level teachers and so forth, and that does make for some attractive, options. But as you said, we still struggle as an importer state, and so some of the things that have been brought to my attention are that MSDE may not be funding some of those professionally embedded job supports like peer coaching and some of those other things that really can help those who are already hired be retained, and I think, as we all know, I always tell people the best recruitment strategy is a strong retention strategy. All the things that make people want to stay make other people want to join them. So I want to know if you can speak to if that is in fact true, that there's less resources MSDE is kind of applying to those embedded
Can you say a little more? I really want to understand. Are you?
Yeah, there's a concern that there's MSDE is no longer offering training for mentors and instructional coaches and things like that.
You know why? Because the career ladder and the blueprint has changed the definition of what a master and mentor teacher is, and it can only be one thing anymore. So that's why. Okay. So it all needs to fall under that standard. So I believe we should have multiple definitions. So if there's a way for us to do what you just said, and for me not to go to jail as a result of it, I'll do it.
Don't want you to go to jail.
But I have a feeling, because we just promulgated these regulations,
right.
Mentor, teacher, and everything all has to have this one standardized definition now. Right. So it's the career ladder and the
Okay, so that's what kind of narrows
yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah.
That's very helpful.
Right. New policies, new problems, right?
Right. And we're all trying to not create new ones as we heal past issues, but that's what we're all here working together to figure out. And then lastly, I know that Delegate Mangione mentioned, and as we saw, that our young people are still struggling with math particularly. Not that there are other subjects that they need more supports on, but I know that there are some efforts, one in particular, the Teach Well initiative that Johns Hopkins is trying to pull off the ground. They spoke to me about a need for some type of even conditional authorization through your office. So I know that it might seem like a small thing, but all these different contributions, I think, could help these overall math realities. And so I want to know how.
I got an update for you. Literally,
okay, good.
Literally right before I came.
Boom, I'm ready.
It's not. They just needed to follow what the blueprint law was.
Okay.
And the blueprint created some updates. Remember, even though we don't promulgate regs yet, the law is the law, right? Like when you guys passed the discrimination bill last year in private schools and stuff, I have to still enforce it, right? They clarified it literally 2 days ago.
Okay.
I have it. And this week, I will sign a letter, not even doing conditional. I will do approval.
All the way?
But I just want them to know I'm not doing it because they came and used you guys to pressure me. It's because I'm doing it because they're doing the right thing and following the law. Okay. I just want to be real about that. And so, but it will not even be conditional. It will be an approval because they finally clarified that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because we're also using other people's money, not even just taxpayer money.
Yeah.
They want to help our kids get better at math. I don't want to
So
stop
I will
anybody.
send that. Literally breaking news. Trust me. I got it from the Senate and I got it from the House, but I was
updating
holding
my weekly, newsletter. Thank
they
you
will
very
get the
much.
approval because they finally clarified what I need them to.
And is there a way that we need to maybe better publicize the pathway so that these good actors, don't have time wasted? I mean, that's important too.
I think it's because not everyone knows all the new requirements of the law.
Understandable.
And this is literally the first new program approval that we are approving since the blueprint passed.
Got it.
This is the first one
So they're
ever.
breaking, you know,
They're
they're
breaking
creating
ground.
that, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. They're breaking ground. They're breaking ground. And so Nya and I talk a lot, and I told her, hey, am I holding you up? She said, I'm not holding you up as much, so as long as you get it done by February, and so I'm getting it done by
Okay.
February. So,
All right, I
yes,
feel very
okay.
good about that. Are there
All
any
right.
other questions from anyone else? Well, thank you so much for coming in today. I
Thank
know we're
you.
going to have a lot of conversations outside of here, just as our collective understanding of
Yeah.
what these numbers mean, could mean, and should mean, are better refined. And thank you for all the hard work you're doing, and we just want to keep the pathways of communication open.
Absolutely. Anything you need, please
All
let
right,
us know.
thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good one. And I believe, are there any other public comments? No? All right, that concludes the last budget hearing for today and all budget hearings. Yeah, don't we have to, okay. Okay, so we're going to stay on this same stream for our voting session. So we'll just, I think Grace just stepped away for a moment. Oh, okay, no worries.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
So you have two bills on the voting list. The first bill is House Bill 295, which requires USM to authorize a student to withdraw for extenuating circumstances, which is defined in the bill. If a student withdraws for these extenuating circumstances, the institution must reimburse the student any tuition and fees paid by the student for the semester during which the student has withdrawn. This passed the committee last year 21-0.
Are there any questions for clarity? Delegate Harris? No?
Someone want to move the bill?
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Roll call.
Delegate Solomon?
Aye.
Delegate Harris? Delegate Mangione? Delegate Grice is excused. Delegate Forbes? Delegate Smith?
Aye.
The bill passes. The next bill on the voting list is House Bill 428, which authorizes the USM Board of Regents to award a grant consisting of private donor funds to a student member of the board during the first year of a 2-year term. There are no amendments on the bill.
Any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion to move the bill?
Motion to move the bill.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Roll call.
Delegate Solomon?
Aye.
Delegate Harris? Delegate Mangione? Delegate Grice, excused. Delegate Forbes? Chair Smith?
Aye.
The bill passes.
Thank you. That concludes the voting session for EED. Have a great